Most affected polling stations were in Turkana North, Wajir South, Turkana Central, Loima, and Turkana West. As at this afternoon, voting had commenced in the affected polling stations, apart from 2 in Turkana West. The 2 polling stations, Natamakwaro Water Point, which has 149 registered voters, and Lotipiki Station, which has 66 registered voters. These were affected further as a result of the vehicle transporting the materials getting stuck in a swamp. However, the materials have since been airlifted to the said polling stations, and voting commenced thereafter. That's a short while ago. We wish to assure you all that for the polling stations that opened late, we will compensate the time by extending the voting period by the same amount of hours that were lost before opening. For the polling stations that opened at 6 a.m., polling has closed. However, a voter who was on the queue by 5 p.m. will still be allowed to vote, and that's still ongoing as we speak. We have been encouraged by the large turnout witnessed countrywide. The Commission would like to thank each and every voter, including the first-time voters that woke up early, showed up at their respective polling stations, and elected or cast their votes for the preferred leaders. On election technology, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time Kenya has successfully deployed the Kenya Integrated Election Management System, that's KIMS. That's on a national scale, which is a key milestone in facilitating efficient voter registration, candidate registration, voter verification, and transmission of results. The new system has been able to integrate the existing biometric voter registration, biometric voter identification, electronic results transmission, political party and candidate registration system. Despite a few technical hitches in its usage in some parts of the country witnessed in the course of today morning, we successfully managed to adopt a new innovative way of voter identification and transmission of results. This is a watershed moment in the history of election management in Kenya. And for that, I would like to say a big thank you to each and every Kenyan for putting the confidence in the Commission to deliver credible elections. On the issue of tallying of results, we have now concluded phase 1 of the election exercise, which basically entailed Kenyans turning up in large numbers to exercise their democratic right to vote. We now enter the most critical moment in the election cycle, that's tallying of votes for all the 6 elective positions: President, woman member of National Assembly, Governor, Senator, Member of Parliament, and Member of the County Assembly. As at this evening, we have a number of polling stations where tallying has commenced in the presence of candidates and political party agents, plus election observers and the media. During this critical phase, we urge all Kenyans to exercise restraint as we await official results from the polling stations and indeed as they start trickling in. The Commission has put in place a live public portal, which you can see displayed in this room. We encourage members of the public to start tracking the results. The portal is dynamic and will refresh as results stream in. You will have a copy of the address of the portal will be displayed, and the media will get copies of the same. The first result from Narok prison came in, streamed in 7 minutes after the close of the polls at 5 p.m. That was at 5:07 p.m. And we have other results which have come in, which you can see on the screens, which indeed is what we are going to experience for the remaining periods as we wait for results until announcement of the winners. We want to thank all Kenyans for cooperating with our efforts and our officers on the ground and for not making the work of the officers difficult. Finally, as we begin yet another step of vote tallying, I would like to urge you to be patient and calm as the results start streaming in this evening and early tomorrow. We will be sharing with you regular updates throughout the course of the night and tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Okay, do we have any questions? Brian?
Thank you very much. My name is O'Brien Kimani, and I do work with the national broadcaster, that is KBC. I want to find out from the chair, how many polling stations, or have you extended polling hours for, apart from Turkana West and the other polling stations that you have just mentioned, have you extended polling hours for any other stations? If yes, how many? Question number two, there were reported cases of electoral malpractices. Could you update us on how many they are and whether you have your officers, being held in custody?
Okay, any other question?
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Lukavich from The Star. I have two questions. From the results that have started coming in from the live portal, could there be a way of knowing where they are coming from first? And then, are they results from the keyed-in results in the kits or after confirmation with the Form 34A? Thank you.
Next. Any other? Okay. Then we'll be able to respond.
Anaitwa Joseph Njane kutoka Radio Citizen. Swali langu ni la Kiswahili. Mwanzo kabisa tunaangalia kwamba matokeo yashaanza kupeperushwa, na iwapo pengine lile hitaji la 51% litafikiwa mapema zaidi. Sijui kama tume mnatarajiwa kuweza kutangaza mshindi upesi upi, na pengine hii itabidi kwamba muweze kusubiri hadi matokeo yote yatakapopokelewa ndiposa muweze kumtangaza mshindi, au ni mbinu ipi mtakayotumia kwa pengine mwananchi ambaye hana ufahamu kule nje?
Okay. We'll ask Commissioner Rosalie to talk about to answer the last question. You will listen. Okay, Professor. Okay, the question about projections in terms of how soon are we likely to see the final declaration of results. The other question is about where are these results coming from? Are they accessible? Reported cases of election malpractices, how many people have been put in custody, and where are we with those cases? And how many polling stations have we been able to extend?
The question on if 50+1 can be achieved early, can we announce the results? We'll have to wait for the results to come in the 290 constituencies before we can declare the results. On the issue of the results being transmitted, we have a number of screens here. This screen shows the tabulated totals for each of the presidential results. The screen there is indicating the breakdown by constituency, the results, allocations to the candidates by constituency. And I think the same is also transmitted there. In terms of the actual polling station, the results will be hitting the back end of the results processing servers, and that will be only accessible through a secure connection, an API connection to the media, and they can see which particular polling stations is being transmitted.
Thank you very much. I'll respond to the question from Citizen. I have to apologize that I understood your question very well in Swahili, but I'll not be in a position to respond to it comprehensively in the national language. So please apologize. I'll have to respond in English on that one. Every vote counts for us as the Election Commission here, as the IBC. Every vote counts. And so we will count every vote. We will wait for every vote before we make a determination of the 50+1, and it's not only the 50+1, but it's also meeting the 25% in at least 24 counties. So every vote counts. We will wait and count every vote that the Kenyan has gone out there today to cast. Thank you.
Yeah, in terms of, thank you very much, Commissioners, for those responses. And to also just demonstrate or clarify that that screen there is going to show showing results per county. This one is per constituencies, and that one is per county. This is the total as tabulated. We expect to have another screen here later. And also, in addition to what Prof has said, you'll be able to follow the results up to the polling station level on our public portal, whose URL has been provided out there. You follow our Twitter handle, you'll be able to find that. So that information is available also to you if you want to do further analysis. With regards to polling stations that have extended hours in terms of polling, we are still collecting the data. This afternoon, we were more concerned about those polling stations that had not started voting. When we came here last, we told you that some people in upper Turkana region had not started voting, and gladly, that process is ongoing. So we are going to see them voting very late into the night. But other areas, including Nairobi, where voting started late, in particular Greenland, is it Greenland or Greenhouse? In Donholm. So they have extended hours to just ensure that all people on the queue are able to vote. With regards to reported cases of election malpractices, our legal team is still gathering that information as well. We have a call center that's bringing that information. And the process in terms of identifying these cases has been very dynamic. You hear a case now, even as we walk out of this place, we'll go out there and we'll hear that somebody has been arrested for one or two things. And again, the police is taking control in most of the cases, as well as other agencies tracking different types of violations or offenses that are being experienced in the course of the day. But by and large, I think we've seen an orderly process. Despite some of the hiccups that we've experienced, we've seen a very orderly process like never before. And we hope we are going to keep it that way throughout the night and days to come. Thank you very much. Is there another question? Some? Two questions, then we go.
All right.
Yes, there's a lady at least this time round. Very good.
My name is Catherine Achenga from KBC. The chairman has talked about the voter turnout. Could you clarify by 5 p.m. What were the figures like? How many people, what is the percentage like?
Jina langu ni Mathias Momanyi kutoka kituo cha Taifa cha KBC Radio Taifa, na ningependa kuuliza hili swali kwa manufaa ya Wakenya, hasa wale ambao wana hati kuhusu ama wasiwasi kuhusu uwasilishaji wa matokeo katika kaunti zilizoathirika, zile zilizosemwa kwamba zina mtindo wa 3G na nyingine bado 2G. Je, huo mfumo wa 2G na zile kaunti, imani gani umeiweka kwa Wakenya na mikakati gani umeweka nyie kama tume kwa Wakenya wasije wakawa na wasiwasi kwamba yale maeneo yaliyoathirika katika mtandao na uwasilishaji kupitia mfumo wa 3G na 2G si changamoto kubwa kwenu? Shukrani.
Okay, this one gentleman there, maybe the last one.
Asante, naitwa Douglas Omariba kutoka Biblia Husema. Ningependa kujua, mliahidi ya kwamba vituo ambavyo vilichelewa kufunguliwa mtakuwa mnaongeza, kama ilichelewa kwa saa 1 mtaongeza kwa saa ingine 1. Kuna vituo ambavyo vilifunguliwa mchana saa 7, saa 8. Iwapo mtaongeza kuanzia saa 11, inamaanisha hiyo ni saa 5 ama saa 6 za usiku. Je, hizi ni vituo gani? Na kuna hali ya usalama ambao mtaimarisha kama uchaguzi utaendeshwa usiku?
Okay, Chairman, I will ask you to respond to the last question. You did it earlier? Okay. Coverage, yeah.
On the question about coverage, internet coverage, network coverage, 3G, 2G, I think we spoke earlier on about this in our earlier briefings. We do have all the major telecom service providers participating in this exercise. We've mapped the country depending on their strengths in the regions in which they have higher capacities, and we have allocated according to their strengths. And for each region, we have a lead transmitter and we have a backup transmitter. And our KIMS kit has slots for 2 SIMs, and therefore in the event that there is a failure of one, the other one automatically takes over. And in terms of transmission, again, we mentioned this a while ago. We've done internet connectivities to the entire 290 constituency offices of our commission, and therefore we have a point-to-point connection from those places to our servers here in Nairobi. In addition to that, we do have satellite arrangements in areas that are out with network coverage. So a combination of all these systems gives an assurance to us that if there is one particular failure in one particular modality, then the next one takes over in terms of transmission. And therefore, we do believe that we will will receive transmissions from the results that will be tabulated across the country.
Well, let me start by reiterating that on the issue of the results, whereas you may not see the actual polling stations, but that's why we're giving you a web portal address. You can log in and you'll see exactly where they are coming from. So you'll get more information if you log into the web public portal address. And I think the media, you have been given a link for that. Now, the issue of timing, I think that was the main part of my speech, or the briefing we gave. We are saying that polling stations opened at 6 to 5 p.m. And those who are still on the queue will continue voting until they finish. Those who started late, we add them the same number of hours they missed out. And that is the position. The issue of falling into the night, of security will be provided. We're working closely with the Inspector General of Police in those areas, and security will be provided. And so, I don't know whether there's any further clarification you need on that. People must vote until they finish. This is a democratic right. The process must go on until we finish it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, for that clarification and emphasis. There was a question about turnout. We talked about it earlier, and we said the turnout is subject to the transmission from the KIMS kit. As at 5 o'clock, only 30,000 kits out of 40,833 had transmitted, and that turnout had just crossed the mark of 60, and we expect that number to go up when we get all the turnout reports. But the actual turnout, of course, will be based on what is recorded at the polling station. That only gives you the perspective in terms of the voting trends in the course of the day, in terms of participation. So that is the much that we can say in terms of turnout. When you go to the public portal, where the results are being posted, you're going to see a number of links. In fact, is that particular page that you will see. And underneath, there is a selection tool where you can select the county that you're interested in, the constituency, the ward, and the polling station, and drill down to the place where those, or to the point where those results are coming from. So we'll invite you to go to the public portal where you're going to get those results. So at this point in time, I want to say thank you very much for being patient, and we look forward to some. No. Can we have some interview here? We'll have another one at 9 o'clock. Yeah? So there are 2, 3. Okay, I'll give you this.
Thank you very much. My name is Robert van Landschot. I'm a freelance journalist from the Netherlands. I have the following question. I've been in quite a number of countries and all kind of elections, and for me it's the first time ever to come across a situation where results are being announced while voting is still going on. And in many countries they would not do that because those results may influence voter behavior. So there is a good reason not to do it. So my question is, what is happening now here? Is that specifically foreseen under the legislation of Kenya, or is this an ad hoc decision? Thank you.
Okay, Sam?
I think it's an important question. You're talking about 11,000 polling stations that do not have the 3G or 4G connectivity, and had given the measures that we are going to take is that the presiding officers may have to move to where there is network or to move to the returning offices. So will they have to move to transmit the presidential result, then come back to count the other elections, or they have to wait until they are done with counting all the other elections so they can transmit the presidential results?
Okay, that's a very important question, and we've reminded our officers that they have to ensure that they've loaded all the results and all the forms scanned into the kit before they leave the station. So those are the instructions, because it's possible to do that on the kit. So you log all the results at the polling station, having been witnessed by all the agents at the polling station, then you start your journey. And once you log those results, there's no way you can undo them, given the procedures that are in place. With regards to the voting pattern, I thought in the US, the country is experiencing different time zones also get in this particular situation. So the law in Kenya states that voting begins on the voting day at 6 o'clock, but ends at 6 p.m., but at 5 p.m., but the extension is for those people who are on the queue. But even then, the provisions of law also provide the Commission an opportunity to move those elections given the circumstances in which a particular electoral area finds itself in. So, and the transmission is supposed to be electronic. Given the diversity in terms of our landscape and the logistical challenges, our expectation was that all the voting will have ended today. And we are talking about 40,883 polling stations across the country. So if there are polling stations that are affected by other circumstances that make it impossible to complete the process, it's only natural for us to be able to proceed with announcing those results. From where we sit now, a significant portion, over 98% of the votes now more or less should be undercounting, and there's no threat at all. So the areas that we've extended, if you look at it also, there are those unique cases, and there's no cause for worry at all. And I think it's still best practice. So thank you very much, and see you at 9:30.